Okay, class, picking up where we left off, we picked 2 points, and now we're going to do rise over run. So we would go up, we have 1, 2. So our rise, how that disappeared there. Our rise here would be 2. Our run would be 1, 2, 3. So 3. So the slope of the first line, let me mark this line. We're going to mark this line as line 1 and this line as line 2. Okay, so for the slope of line 1, we will have 2/3, our rise over run. Now we want to do the slope of line 2. So we need to pick 2 exact points. Now we have an exact point here, and we have an exact point here. Okay, so now we would do our rise, which is 1, 2. Our rise is 2, and our run is 3. So this slope is also 2/3. So what we could write here is that parallel lines have the same slope. So remember, whenever you're dealing with parallel lines, they have the same slope. And sometimes you will see the symbol for parallel lines. You'll see this and then the word lines. And you also know that this means parallel. Whenever you see 2 lines together like this means parallel. So you can also see this in place of the word parallel. So parallel lines, and you could say, and this right here, the semicolon, you would conclude that they have the same slope. Now, if you wanted to write it all the way out, you could write it out like this. If you want to write it using symbols, you could write it like this here. So that is your final answer. Okay, example 6. It says find the slopes of the perpendicular lines at right. So we still need to find 2 exact points on the line. We have 1 exact point here, and we have another exact point here. So now we could do our rise over run. So we could rise. We went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our rise was 8. Now we want to do our run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our run is 6, but since we went to the left, it would be -6. So we would make this line 1, and we would make this line 2. So the slope for line 1 will give us the rise is 8 over -6. And we can simplify that by dividing both by 2, and it'll be a -4/3. So that's the slope of line 1. So now we need the slope of line 2. So we need 2 exact points. We have 1 here, and we also have 1 here. So we would do our rise. We'll go 1, 2, 3. So our rise is 3, which we could write here, and our run is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you notice with these slopes here, you notice that they have opposite signs, and they're also reciprocals of each other. So you could conclude using a symbol for parallel. This is a symbol for parallel. Parallel lines, and we'll use our colon here. Their slopes are opposite reciprocals. Because they have to be opposite, which means that one is negative and one is positive, and they have to be reciprocals of each other. And that is the conclusion. Now, we scroll down here to example 7. It says fill in the chart below. Slope of the given line, we have 5/8. Slope of the parallel line, we know parallel lines have the same slope. So we could write that here. So all of these will have the same slope. Now the slope of a perpendicular line. Remember, they must be opposite reciprocals. Now, as you all saw when I wrote this in with these last problems, the numbers were shifting. So what I'm going to do is this here. You will write this under the slope of the perpendicular line, but I'm going to write it to the side so that the lines won't shift. So first of all, the opposite of a positive is a negative. Oh, well, it's still shifting. So I guess I could write it inside here. So it'll be a negative. Then what we would have to do is the reciprocal of 5/8, which would be 8/5. So it'll be a negative 8/5. Okay, now the next number, we have a negative 5. Now we know this negative 5 is considered to be a negative 5/1. So first of all, we know we will have a positive, and we'll take the reciprocal of 5/1, which is 1/5. Now, for the 0 here. Now, one thing we need to know is this. When we have the slope, a slope of 0, we know that this is a horizontal line. We know that this forms a horizontal line. So we could denote that. Oh, this jumped a little bit. Well, I'll write it down here. We could denote that by drawing the horizontal line. And you could draw that in where the 0 is. Now, we have the slope as being 0. We know the reciprocal of 0 is 1/0, which we know 1/0 is undefined. So what I will write, well, let me see if I could get this in here before it shifts. Okay, so it's undefined. And we also know that forms a vertical line. And also we know that that line will be vertical, as we showed here. Okay, so this is the final answer, and this is the end of section 1.3.